So in this video, we'll learn if statements, switch statements, and we'll build a real smart login system together inside WinForms. Before we get started with the practical part, let's first take a look at the theory. Programming without conditions is like a human without decision making. Your app needs to constantly ask questions. Is the password correct? Is the player dead? Did the user click yes? Is the age over 18? Conditions are how your program decides what should happen. Your brain already works like C# conditions every single day. If the traffic light is red, you stop. Else, you continue driving. Computers work the exact same way. A condition is simply true or false. In C#, every condition becomes one of two things: true or false. Nothing in between. For example, 5 greater than 3. This is true. But 2 greater than 10. That's false. The most basic condition in C# is the if statement. C# checks the condition inside the brackets. If it's true, the code runs. If it's false, it skips everything. But what if we want something else to happen? If the condition is true, the first block runs. Otherwise, the else block runs instead. Now things get really interesting. Sometimes apps need multiple decisions. This allows your app to check multiple conditions step by step. Now let's talk about switch. Switch is perfect when you have many exact options. Instead of writing 20 if statements, switch keeps your code clean and organized. So let's jump directly into Visual Studio. First, let's build the user interface. Inside the toolbox, drag 3 labels onto the form. The first one says username. The second says password. And the third says role. Now add 2 text boxes. Rename them to text, username, and text, password. Perfect. Next, drag a combo box onto the form. Rename it to combo role. Now add a button. Rename it button login, and change the button text to login. After that, add another label called label result. This will later display messages like login success or access denied. And finally, drag a panel onto the form. Rename it Panel Admin. This panel will only become visible for administrators later. Very important. This is where the app starts becoming dynamic. Now, inside the combo box, we want to add different roles. So let's do that properly inside the form load event. Double-click the form background to create form load. And now type this. Alright, let's understand this. We're adding 3 roles to the combo box: admin, user, and guest. Then we automatically select the first item. And finally, we hide the admin panel at startup, because only administrators should see admin content. This is already real-world programming logic. Now let's create our first real condition. Double-click the login button and type this. Now let's break this down carefully. This right here, if, is asking a question. And the question is, does the text box contain the word Andre? If the answer is true, the first code block runs. If the answer is false, the else block runs instead. This is the foundation of programming logic. Your app is literally making decisions now. Now let's make this way more realistic. Right now we only check the username. But real login systems also need passwords. So let's expand the condition. Now this is powerful, because we now use something called a logical operator. This symbol right here, and, means and, which means both conditions must be true. The username must match, and the password must match. If only one is correct, access is denied. This is exactly how many real applications work. Now before we continue, you need to understand comparison operators, because these are used everywhere in programming. So let's quickly go through them. First, double equals. This means equal to. We use this when we want to compare two values. For example, does the username equal admin? Does the password equal 1234? Very important. Double equals compares values. Single equals changes values. That mistake destroys beginners every single day. Next, not equal. This means not equal to. So if we write username not equal admin, the condition becomes true for everybody except admin. Super useful for blocking users, checking permissions, or validating data. Next, greater than. This checks if one value is bigger than another. For example, is the score greater than 100? If yes, unlock the next level. This is used everywhere in games and applications. Now the opposite. Less than. For example, is the player health less than 10? If yes, show a warning message. Again, real-world programming logic. Now we combine equality with comparison. This means greater than or equal to. For example, is the age greater than or equal to 18? If yes, allow access. And finally, less than or equal to. For example, is the battery level less than or equal to 5%? If yes, activate power saving mode. And this right here is the moment where programming starts feeling real. Because now your applications can actually think. They can compare values, react differently, make decisions, and dynamically change behavior depending on data. And trust me, these operators are used absolutely everywhere in C#. Games, apps, websites, tools, login systems. Literally everything. Now comes one of the most useful things in C#. The switch statement. Switch is amazing when you have many exact options. And in our case, we already have multiple roles inside the combo box. So now we can react differently depending on the selected role. How insane this is. If the user selects admin, the admin panel becomes visible, and the background changes color. If the user selects guest, the app limits access automatically. This is real dynamic programming. The application reacts differently depending on data. Now let's make the app feel a bit more professional. First, select the password text box and add this. This hides the password characters. Tiny detail, but huge difference in professionalism. You can also make the button look more modern. Set flat style to flat. Maybe add an icon. Maybe change colors. Small visual improvements instantly make beginner apps look way better. Now let's talk about beginner mistakes. Because almost every beginner makes these. Mistake number 1. If text username, text equals Andre, this is wrong. 1 equals sign means assignment, not comparison. For comparisons, you must use double equals. Equals equals. Very important. These concepts are used in basically every real application ever built. If this video finally made conditions click for you, hit that like button. Subscribe for the next episode. And tell me in the comments, what should our next mini application react to? Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.